Hey everyone, it's Blake. Welcome in to episode number 99 of our WWE 2022 Save and TEW 2020. This is SmackDown for February week 2. We are on the road to No Way Out for SmackDown. Still on the road to WrestleMania now for Raw. But 99 episodes. Wild, isn't it? We are one away from episode number 100 here on the series. Took us a while to get there, but we're almost there after a few starts and stops along the way. But we are on the road, as I said, to No Way Out for SmackDown, and things are really heating up. And as you know, when we have branded pay-per-views, boy, I have to put a lot in to these shows to get there, and this one is no different. So let's jump in. We got a lot to get to. As usual, Elias gets the win over Cedric Alexander, 7:03 on the pre-show. 54 overall for this one. Of course, Elias has been teaming with Otis quite a bit. They've been part of our tag team stuff we've had going on, and just because they had good chemistry and we were just trying to pair them together, but not a lot of plans for Elias and Otis at the moment. So Elias gets a win on the pre-show, and that is that. All right, let's start with the main show, and we begin with an 84 segment here. Jimmy Uso has arrived, and if you recall, Jimmy Uso got his reward from Roman Reigns on the last edition of SmackDown, and that was for Jimmy to wrestle Roman Reigns at No Way Out for the Universal Championship. That was the reward given to him by Roman Reigns. And of course, Roman forced Jimmy to sign a contract. And so Jimmy arrives, and Mick Foley greets him again. You know, we had sort of the weird Foley trying to warn Jimmy, if you will, before he went out for that segment with Roman Reigns. Again, Foley said he has nothing good really to say about Jimmy Uso, but for some reason he was compelled to help Jimmy out, to try somewhat to talk him out of going through, because Foley thought that Reigns was going to destroy Jimmy Uso. Well, he didn't. And so now Foley is here again as Jimmy makes his way into the building, and we see Mick Foley saying, Jimmy, I realize that Roman Reigns did not destroy you when you went out there last week, and I told you I thought he would. But he didn't. But I am telling you right now, you know what's coming. Everyone else knows what's coming. You don't have to do this. And Foley says, that contract that Roman Reigns had you sign, it's not an official contract. You are not obligated in any way to go through with this match. And Foley just continues to try to talk Jimmy out of this. And, again, what's the reason here? Why is Foley trying to talk Jimmy out of this? But he is, and Jimmy's just like, I've made my decision. I got nothing to say to you. And Jimmy just walks on as Foley trying to talk him out of his decision to accept this match against Roman Reigns at No Way Out. So, 84 for this one, and that is how we kick things off here. As usual, more to come with this. And then we are going to get to Sami Zayn. He sees The Miz getting ready for his match, which we're going to start things off with the special inter-promotional match here, if you could call it that, I suppose. The Miz going one-on-one with Big E from Raw. We had the special contract signed for Big E to come over and have this match with The Miz after The Miz demanded it for Big E kind of showing him up at the Royal Rumble. And so Sami comes in, and we know there's tension here because Sami still coming off the U.S. title defense where he pinned The Miz at the Royal Rumble in the four-way. And Sami just comes in and says, Miz, I know you didn't want to talk last week, but look, I want you to know I'm here for you. I have your back. We're best friends, remember? And, Sami's like, I even brought you another button. I know you haven't had it on the past couple weeks. Sami's best friend. I've got more. I told you if you want to take it out there, maybe it's good luck. I don't know. But it's for you. And Miz just continues to stare at Sami Zayn, does not say a word, and then he just walks off. But Sami making it clear that he has the Miz's back against Big E if needed. So this gets a 70. Miz struggles going off script. We don't usually get that. So, just an unfortunate development there for this particular segment. But gets a 70, and now Miz heads to the ring to go one-on-one with Big E. Let's see how it goes. And as you would expect, it is not the Miz getting the win. As Big E defeats The Miz, we had to go about 12 minutes here to fill time. So we needed that to go longer. Probably should have been a little shorter, but we got to fill time on this show with matches, not angles. We got too many angles, but we got to fill match time. So 73 for this match, not bad. Big E's in-ring performance, a 90. An unbelievable performance here from Big E. He continues to be someone. I mean, remember, Rey Fenix is kind of the gold standard right now, and so is Daniel Bryan. But Big E at a 90, like he's one of the top performers, actually, in terms of in-ring performance we have at the moment. Lack of psychology hurts a little bit, but we see here great chemistry between these two. So maybe down the road, we got to go back to The Miz and Big E at some point. Great chemistry between these guys. Very, very entertaining. I can see that. So Big E gets the win. No shenanigans here. Just kind of a straight-up match. Sammy doesn't get involved. Miz kind of looking around, trying to do his own thing. But Big E, once again, gets the better of The Miz here, but does it in an actual match this time. So let's get to 73. And after the match, here he comes. Here comes Brock Lesnar, as Brock is making his way down to the ring. As we saw, Big E and Brock just cannot get enough of each other right now because these two guys want to just destroy one another. They had the parking lot fight on the last edition of Raw, and now we've got these two going at it again. Big E hits the ring, Brock Lesnar hits the ring, and he goes after Big E, manages to escape a little offense, and then he clotheslines Big E over the top. And that is when Brock Lesnar turns and sets his sights on Xavier Woods. And if you remember what happened to Kofi Kingston at the Royal Rumble, everyone's thinking the same thing. Could this be coming for Xavier Woods? Because Brock goes to chase after Xavier Woods to seemingly do the same thing to him that he did to Kofi Kingston, maybe an F5 through an announce table, who knows. But the crowd buzzes because they see something, and here he is, an 85. Great stuff here. Here comes Kofi Kingston. Mick Foley said last week he didn't know when Kofi could be back. Sound like it would be a while. Nah, Kofi doesn't give a damn here because he's back and he's limping down the ramp. He's hurt. He's got, he's battered. You can see him kind of holding the ribs, all sorts of stuff. This is not the usual Kofi Kingston. But he makes his way down the ramp. He's here. And Kofi goes right after Brock Lesnar, and as Big E starts to get up, Xavier Woods is still standing. You've got these three who are now all making their way into the ring, and Brock, instead of deciding to take on all three, he slides out of the ring after he sees Big E get up and head towards the ring, with Kofi making his way in as well. So, an 85 segment, this really delivered, probably on the basis of Big E and Brock here, but still a great segment, and Kofi has made his return much earlier than expected, and so we get a really good segment out of that. So the New Day stand tall here as Brock Lesnar forced to retreat. We've seen in the past people kind of get the numbers game on the New Day, but didn't happen here as the New Day are the ones standing tall with clearly a still injured Kofi Kingston back in the mix. So there you go, another development there with this, and we will see what that leads to in the future. So, moving on to someone else arriving at the building, and she's back. In case you forgot, Raquel Gonzalez. We have not seen her for about 3 or 4 weeks now, and she's here. After she suffered the concussion in the tag team match, it was Alexa Bliss and Raquel Gonzalez. I may say Rodriguez. This is another one of those, name-wise, I want to just change it now because I'm going to say Rodriguez and Gonzalez. I'm going to go back and forth because we know in reality what it is. And so, I don't know. Just, you guys know I'm going to say both names probably at some point. But Raquel Gonzalez, as she is labeled in our save, she's here, and Pat McAfee wants to know, what's your status? And Raquel says, my status is very clear. I am cleared, and I'm back to get what I deserve. And she says, that's my SmackDown Women's Championship match against Bianca Belair, because if you remember, that was our scheduled Royal Rumble match, was for Raquel to challenge Bianca for the SmackDown Women's title. She got the concussion in the tag match, and that led to the match being called off. Bianca did not have an opponent at the Rumble, even though we saw the interactions, and she'll actually be in action tonight. We are going to have that 8-woman tag. You guys knew I was building to that on the last edition of SmackDown. She's going to be an 8-woman tag action, but Raquel is back, and kind of out of nowhere. People they forgot about Raquel getting her shot at the title, but she's here, and she is on a warpath, it seems, to find Bianca Belair to get her SmackDown Women's Championship match. So 64 overall for this one. And as she starts walking past Pat McAfee, who does she run into? It's Dakota Kai. And Dakota Kai kind of steps up to Raquel because remember, we've not seen Raquel since that moment where in that tag team match, Alexa Bliss sort of got the upper hand on Dakota Kai. And then she went over and tagged Raquel and told her to pin Dakota Kai because we've had sort of the tension between these two. The Mean Girls break up, but it was more focused on Dakota and Alexa hating each other with Raquel kind of in the middle. But Alexa forces Raquel to make that pinfall in the match, and she hesitated, but she finally went over and basically laid on top of Dakota Kai to get the pin for the win. So Dakota Kai confronting her here, and she just says, I don't know what you're doing, and I thought I knew you, but she says, you know as well as I do that you're being used, and we'll see the kind of person you are because of how long you're going to watch this and let this happen. She's using you. Alexa is using you. She's not your friend. I was your friend. I don't know if I can be anymore. So that's what Dakota Kai tells Raquel Gonzalez. And she just, again, she's kind of hesitating here, doesn't really know what to say, and she just continues to walk on past Dakota Kai, clearly on a mission for that SmackDown Women's Championship match. But the tension continues between these two friends or former friends. We'll find out. 63 for this segment. All right, and then it's Gunther back in action as he gets the win over Lince Dorado here, 524 with the lariat. So another squash match. He did it to R-Truth last week. Now it's Lince Dorado. You guys know I like to introduce the giants sometimes, the beasts. I like to just let them come out and just beat people. And that's what Gunther's done here the past 2 weeks now, right? So kind of the introduction after the Royal Rumble. Don't worry. We have plans for him. He's not going to be doing this for months. We have very immediate plans for him that you will see play out actually starting next week on SmackDown. So, yes, don't worry. He's not just going to flounder with squash matches. We have a mission for Mr. Gunther, and he will get to it soon enough. 57 here with another win on SmackDown. And then here comes The Miz. He is just firing into Mick Foley's office, and The Miz finally kind of loses it with Sami Zayn around. Sami's beside him, sort of following him, and Miz just says, leave me alone, Sami. And he says, Mick, I'm tired of being disrespected around here. I've been saying that for I don't know how long now. I'm tired of the disrespect. If it's not Big E, it's my own friend, Sami Zayn. And Sami's like, Miz, we are friends. You're right about that. We are definitely friends, but I'm not disrespecting you. I'm sorry. And then Miz just turns away from him and tells Mick, I'm tired of it, and you're going to need to do something about it. And so Mick Foley says, I'm glad you said that, Miz. I know you're frustrated. And he said, I know someone else that's frustrated too. And then he turns and looks at Sami Zayn, and he says, Sami, you're frustrated because you want to finish this with John Cena, right? And Sami's like, absolutely. I want to finish this with John Cena. I said that last week. And Foley says, I'm going to give all of you guys a chance to finally finish this. And that is when Foley says, Sami, you had a great idea last week. You want to finish it with John Cena. So he says, you're going to get your match against John Cena. You're going to defend that United States Championship against John Cena at No Way Out. And Sami's like, all right, this is great. And Miz is kind of looking around going, okay, what the hell about me? What about me? And then, in the moment you know is coming, Foley turns to the Miz and says, you know what, Miz? You're tired of being disrespected. Well, I'm going to respect you, and I'm going to respect your ability for a second chance at the United States Championship because it's going to be Sami Zayn defending the title against John Cena and The Miz at No Way Out in a triple threat match. And then, you have Sami and Miz kind of look at each other again, realizing that the tension has built between these two, but now Foley has now put them in the same position yet again as they are going to be in a triple threat match together. And Foley's like, I know you two, though. You're friends. You won't let what happened at the Royal Rumble impact this match at all, will you? And then Foley just kind of walks out with a smile. Have a nice day. And The Miz and Sami Zayn left looking at each other once again as Sami's like, wait a second, Mick. Like, that's Now I've got like a 33% chance to win. And Miz just kind of looking over, and like I said, they now realize they're in the same spot, but yet the tension has built between these two even further than it was before. So what's going to happen? It's not going to be Sami Zayn against John Cena. It's going to be Sami Zayn against John Cena versus The Miz as well in a triple threat match, the United States Championship at No Way Out. So what does it mean for Sami? What does it mean for The Miz? What does it mean for John Cena? We will find out. So there you go. A match added to the No Way Out card there. A triple threat for the U.S. title. 74 for this one. And then here comes Samoa Joe. He said last week he was going to have an announcement. Actually, one of Samoa Joe's better promos here. 74. That's a pretty good rating for his stuff. So Joe comes out and he said, I've been thinking. I said last week I had a lot on my mind, and I've decided exactly the way this has to go. I always said I'd never be one of those guys that hung on too long. I said I would never just hang around to hang around. And he said, it's become clear to me that I said maybe I still got it, maybe I don't have it anymore. And Joe says, I'm not going to be someone that's looked at like all these other guys who are wrestling into their 50s and 60s out at the independent shows, wrestling in front of 8 people, all this. He says, that's not going to be me. I'm going to go out on top. And so Joe says, I'm going to make sure of that, because I am telling you right now that moving forward, the next time I lose a match, I will retire from professional wrestling. And so you got the oohs and ahs from the crowd like, wait a second, what? Joe's gone? He's retiring? He says, I don't care who you put in front of me. I have to beat them. If I don't, I'm a man of my word. I'm not going to hang around. And so I will retire the next time I lose a match. And so that's kind of the setup here for Samoa Joe. He says he's going to retire the next time he loses. I know this has been used recently. If you guys watch other promotions and kind of that, but like I like this idea because we were actually going to tie this in with Joe, and this is something we've kind of had in the works for a while. Even though he's kind of been in a holding pattern a little bit, beyond the IC title stuff. But yeah, so Joe. Making it clear, when he loses again, he will retire. So what's going to happen with Samoa Joe? We will find out and see perhaps who his next opponent is going to be. So we'll find out that next week. But before we get there, we have to get to this match, and it's Alexa Bliss getting the win over Kairi Sane here, 11:39. Bliss cheats to win, so keep that in mind. Little cheating tactics here from Alexa Bliss. Gets a 62 overall, so not a bad match. Sane still does pretty well from a performance standpoint of 68. So Bliss gets the win, and afterwards, here's where things get interesting. Because after the match, Alexa Bliss, at a nice rating here, 69 overall, Raquel Gonzalez has made her way out to ringside with Alexa Bliss. And that is when Alexa calls for Raquel to come into the ring. So she's just beaten Kairi Sane, right? And she calls for Raquel to come into the ring, and she wants Raquel to basically take out Kairi Sane. And she says, do it. Do it now. And again, we have a little bit of a hesitation here from Raquel, and that hesitation is long enough to allow Asuka to make her way down, and Asuka comes in to make the save for Kairi Sane as Alexa Bliss heads out, and Raquel doesn't really head out. She just kind of stays right there staring at Asuka. Again, because remember the dynamic that's in play here. Asuka's going to take on Paige for the number 1 contendership for the SmackDown Women's Championship, which Raquel is still owed a SmackDown Women's Championship match. So Raquel and Asuka kind of going face-to-face here, but then ultimately Raquel decides better of getting anything started with Asuka as she has saved her partner Kairi Sane here, and Alexa retreats. So that's your setup there for that one, 69 overall. Again, I just tell you, our SmackDown Women's division it's pretty loaded at this point. We've got a lot of people to work with, and I don't know how I'm able to get so many people on the show sometimes, but hey, we find a way, and it's all connecting really well, I think, right now. And we're not even done. Like I said, we got an 8-woman tag coming soon. So, yeah, I really like this, and we have a lot of interesting things in the works when it comes to our SmackDown Women's division. So, 69 overall for this one. All right, speaking of that, I forgot this was the next segment. So the next segment, we get a video package, and it is a video from earlier where Deonna Purrazzo has officially signed her SmackDown contract, and she will make her singles debut next week. Of course, she's right there with Chelsea Green, who is by her side with Mick Foley. So they make the official contract signing, and she gets the virtuosa gimmick, she has, which gets great. So that's awesome. And, we kind of get the wins and losses have a greater impact on momentum. So that can help too for her. So she will officially be in singles action. I mean, our SmackDown women's, I almost think SmackDown's could become a women's show outside of a couple of the other big men's storylines we have, because my goodness, now I'm starting to look at them like we have got a lot of talent to work through when it comes to the women's roster on SmackDown. It's definitely, there's more depth on the SmackDown's women's roster than there is the Raw one, but I think Raw probably has more top-end stars, but SmackDown, we got more depth for sure. So add 2 more to the mix. Of course, Chelsea debuted last week, got counted out against Asuka, but Deonna Purrazzo makes her singles debut next week. So 61 for that one. All right, and here it is. So Jimmy, after his talk earlier on with Mick Foley, Jimmy makes his way to the table, and that is where he gets to Roman Reigns. And Roman is sitting there smiling yet again. Remember, this is the guy who rewarded Jimmy with a match against himself. And so Roman is smiling, and the first thing Roman says as Jimmy walks in, cuts right to the chase. What did Foley say to you? And Jimmy's like, wait a second, what? What are you talking about? Almost like, how did you know that Mick Foley said something to you? And Roman just says, come on, let's not play around here. What did he say? And Jimmy just says, look, he was just telling me about the contract and all this other stuff, and I'm not worried about it. I don't. It was Mick Foley. You know how he is, just Mick talking about contracts and all this other stuff. And he says, well, look, Jimmy, I mean, you've got a choice here. You decide. It's totally up to you. It's not, a legally binding contract for you to wrestle me at No Way Out. But he says, you have a choice. It's totally up to you. It's up to you. I mean, yeah, sure, you've got a debt that has to be paid. You've got your secret, that I know, but it's totally your choice. You decide what you want to do. And Roman just kind of continuing to push that, saying, you've totally got a choice in this matter, Jimmy. So if you think Mick's right, yeah, this contract, not a legally binding contract. You signed it, and sure, you've got all this other stuff, and I know you, but you just let me know. You let me know what you decide. So we kind of leave it at that, with Jimmy just kind of standing there, and Roman making it clear that, hey, Jimmy, you've got a choice as to what you want to do here. Do you want to take the match? Do you not want to take the match? We'll see. So 83 for this segment. We're not done with this on this show. All right, now to, oh no. Well, the injury bug has returned. A ruptured spleen. Yikes. That does not sound fun. So, 59 overall match here. This is definitely going to get hampered by the injury to Trish. Yeah, disrupted by injury. Doesn't help that Charlotte's having the In the Funk attribute. Declining physical ability there. So that didn't help the match rating, but this would have done better had the ruptured spleen not taken place. So I guess my next question is going to be, who's going to get blamed for rupturing Trish Stratus' spleen? That's not a phrase that I thought I would speak on the show, but that is one we have to now deal with. So Bianca, Paige, Trish, and Lita get the win over Charlotte, Mandy, Baszler, and Deville. And it's Bianca getting the pin on Mandy Rose. So unfortunately for Mandy, she's there to take the pinfall. But Bianca gets the pin. And so the bigger issue is going to be the Trish thing, because, boy, I really don't need her injured, because that's going to definitely, I was just sitting here, I should have never bragged about the SmackDown Women's Division and how much depth we have. And what happens? TEW, the game that just keeps on giving, right? It comes right back and tells you, you know what? Well, you've got this depth, you better figure it out, because you're going to have an injury to work with, and you're probably going to have to change your plans, because Trish is probably not going to be wrestling with a ruptured spleen. That's my guess. But we'll see. I don't have any idea. For now, they get the win. I'm already flustered, because I'm like, oh boy, I'm going to have to move some stuff around if Trish is out. So 59 for this one. So here's how this works. And this is the first time I've actually had to deal with this in show. And you guys will know this. We're 99 episodes in. I've never had to do this before. So because Trish has an injury, and it's a ruptured spleen, some of the rest of the show now has to be rebooked. So I have to go back into my booking screen here and change a segment that I actually have Trish in coming up, which luckily, it's only one segment. So that's the good news, is I only have one segment that involves Trish. So I'm going to do that now, and then we're going to magically transport into the future to continue the show. But this is when you know this is a rare deal, because I've never had to do this before, 99 episodes in, but now I have to go in and rebook this a little bit. So let's hit the fast forward button, and we're going to pick right back up where we left off. All right, so we have magically transported into the future, and, well, you can read exactly what it was going to be, okay? So the main focus here, let's start with this part, because Trish and Lita were going to be fighting with Sonya Deville and Shayna Baszler. You guys know what this is leading to. Without me officially announcing it yet, it's going to be announced next week. You know I'm setting up a tag team title match between Sonya Deville and Shayna Baszler defending their championships against Trish and Lita, all right? So that's what we have in the works. Now, is that going to happen now? Probably not, because Trish is injured. So we're going to really have to figure something out here, because not only is it going to affect that, it's going to affect something we have moving forward. A lot in play. So we need to see how long this Trish injury is, because I have no idea. I don't remember the ruptured spleen timeline. But so that's what we had here. So those two are fighting. Meanwhile, you've got Bianca Belair and Paige, part of the winning team. They are standing there, and Belair is holding her title. And you can tell I'm flustered. And Paige all of a sudden turns to her and starts staring at the championship. Bianca realizes what's going on. She turns over and stares at Paige, and Bianca holds up her championship right in front of Paige. Why is that important? Because we know it's going to be Asuka against Paige in the number one contenders match. Essentially, the winner goes on to face the SmackDown Women's Champion at WrestleMania. So that's your setup there. So this gets a 68. We'll worry about the Trish thing in a second after having to transport. So afterwards, though, what really gets interesting is that Belair and Paige are standing there, and here comes Raquel Gonzalez. She heads for the ring, makes her way in there, and Raquel has her sights set on Bianca, but that's when Paige steps in front of Bianca Belair. And so kind of getting in front of her and saying, no, like I may want this championship, I'm going to get my shot, but you may have to come through me too, because you may be the champion I have to come after. What does Raquel do? She just picks up Paige and just tosses her into the corner. Paige hits the back of her head. She's down. And that is when Raquel steps up to Bianca Belair. Belair's holding that championship, and Raquel just takes her arm and just pats that championship as hard as she can, basically insinuating, you owe me that match. It was already signed. I'm going to get it. So perhaps the stage is set. We'll find out soon enough. 71 for this segment. Raquel back, and she is making it clear she wants her match against Bianca Belair. Okay, beyond the women's division, which I was talking up so much earlier and now could be doomed if Trish is hurt. It's not going to completely destroy the division, but I don't like rebooking, especially when it has something significant involved, and I will have to do that if Trish is out for a while. All right, let's get to this, because Pat McAfee is there, and he's asking Drew McIntyre about the possibility of winning championship gold. McIntyre and Priest, won that tag team qualifier last week. They'll be part of the 4-team, elimination match at No Way Out for the championship. And I want to make that a little clear. I know Ben brought it up in the comments, but yes, it is a 4-team elimination match. I don't know. I probably didn't say that the right way the first time, but 4 teams, and it's an elimination style until the final 2 winner takes the championship. That's the style. Lucha Brothers, we know, are in. Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest are in. And that's what Pat's asking about here. The thought of getting gold for Drew McIntyre after coming up short at the Royal Rumble, right? Drew was right there with a chance. He came up short, and Pat wants to know, Drew, what's it like to maybe now get this other type of gold? Your mission's a little different now. And Drew just says, hey, obviously Damian and I, we've got our sights set. We came out last week. We showed how good of a team we are. And yes, didn't get my shot at WrestleMania the way I wanted it, but we're going after the tag team gold. And that is kind of our goal right now. So it gets an 83. And as they finish up, here comes John Cena. And so Cena makes his way into the picture. And Cena just kind of walks up to Drew McIntyre because, well, they were the final 4. If you remember, it was John Cena, AJ Styles, Drew McIntyre, and Gunther. That was our final 4. McIntyre and Gunther eliminated each other. As we know, Styles went on to eliminate Cena to win the Rumble. But Cena says, look, Drew, kind of the first time we've had an interaction with these two in this kind of setting. And he says, you and I almost won the Rumble. We almost had our chance. And now, look at us. We're going for different championships. And, that's just kind of these two just kind of nodding at each other. And that is when McAfee asks John Cena as McIntyre and Priest walk off. John just kind of gives a little bit of a head nod to Damian Priest. If you remember, those two teamed up not long ago, a few months ago as well. So McAfee asked John Cena, well, what do you think about the triple threat match? And Cena just says, well, Pat, sure, I would have liked to beat Sami Zayn one-on-one, but you know what? I've beaten Sami Zayn before. And he said, you know what, Pat? I've beaten The Miz before. So doesn't seem like to me those two are getting along very well. So Cena says, I have full confidence. I don't care that it's a triple threat match now. As I just said, maybe I didn't get the gold I wanted. I still want to get it. But for now, this will do. I don't mind beating Sami Zayn and The Miz again. And so that's kind of Cena's message here for that, his reaction to the triple threat match. So an 83 overall for this one. And that leads us to our main event. And it is Bray Wyatt and Aleister Black getting the win over Grand Metalik and Humberto Carrillo in 7:41. Aleister Black pins Grand Metalik with the Black Mass. 66 for our main event here. I knew this wouldn't do as well match-wise, but let's be honest, this show is carried by Roman Reigns in all honesty. So these matches sometimes they are what they are. But yes, so Bray and Aleister Black, they have now officially qualified for the four-way title match. So we have three of our teams set, as it will be the Lucha Bros, Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, and now Bray Wyatt and Aleister Black. So 66 overall here. We were kind of rewarding Grand Metalik and Humberto. They had the good showing, as we saw, against the Lucha Bros last week. So we were giving them kind of we'll say Foley set it up as sort of a second chance opportunity for, as well as they fought against the champions in a non-title match, they get their way into perhaps a title match. Didn't work out for them. But so Bray Wyatt, Aleister Black, they have advanced, and we will have one more team that will qualify next week for that fatal four-way or four-way tag team, however you want to word it. But yeah, so still the great chemistry between these two. Bray and off his game, but still at a 76, so not bad. So they're advancing on, and that is when we go backstage and we see Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest watching Bray Wyatt and Aleister Black celebrate. And then here come the tag team champions, Penta and Phoenix. They walk up, and we just kind of have your stare down in the back now with Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. So again, there are 6 men that are going to be in this match. We'll find out the other 2 next week on SmackDown. So that is your setup here, 83 overall for this one as we head towards that big tag team match at No Way Out for the Undisputed Tag Team titles. And then we finish up the show with Mick Foley, and here comes Roman Reigns. And he is walking in, and who is behind him? It is Jimmy Uso. And Mick and Roman kind of get face-to-face here. We remember the last time that happened. Did not exactly go that well for Mick Foley. That's when we almost saw Roman Reigns basically destroy Mick Foley, but who interrupted? None other than The Rock, and that led to, of course, what we saw after that. But Roman walks in and says, Mick, I want to keep this short. Jimmy has something he would like to say to you. And that is when Jimmy just kind of, again, steps up. Reigns just staring at him. Reigns will not take his eyes off of Jimmy. And Jimmy steps up and says, Mick, I appreciate everything you said earlier, but I am going to wrestle the tribal chief, the head of the table, the undisputed Universal Champion, Roman Reigns, at No Way Out for the championship. Jimmy's almost saying this is like it's been rehearsed. He sounds like it's just, almost sounds Paul Heyman-esque as Jimmy, tells Mick Foley, thanks, but no thanks. I'm taking the match, and I will wrestle Roman Reigns at No Way Out. And he said, I will take an official contract if that's what you need. And that is all I have to say. So, Jimmy does not back out of the match. Roman keeping his eyes on Jimmy. And then Roman just sort of smiles a little bit, then turns back to Foley. And Roman says, so, Mick, now that that's out of the way, there's something else that I'm going to need. And he says, next week on SmackDown, I am demanding a match. And that is when Foley's like, well, who do you want to face, Roman? He's like, no. Not who am I going to face? Who are we going to face? Because I want you to book me and my friend here, my brother, the bloodline, the blood, Jimmy Uso, in a tag team match next week on SmackDown, because we need to warm up and get ready for our match at No Way Out. And Foley's just stunned. He's like, what? What are you, what? You want a tag team match? And that's when Roman just ignores Foley, puts his arm around Jimmy Uso, and they walk out. As Foley is just left there not knowing what to do. But Roman Reigns has requested a tag team match with him and Jimmy Uso teaming up next week on SmackDown as a warm-up match before they face each other at No Way Out. This guy, Roman Reigns, is just, he's on another level right now. 91 for this segment. What will happen? Will they, I get so many questions, right? We'll find out next week on SmackDown. 78 for this show. Lost us a ton of popularity. Who the hell cares? We got all the money in the world. We're the biggest company out there. It doesn't matter. But obviously, the injury to Trish, that hurt that match a little bit. This was kind of built around not a lot of great matches, but really was more about the storylines. And, you know, Roman stuff usually does really well. Jimmy's getting there popularity-wise, so some of those are a little bit lower than our usual 95 or above. But adding Cena into the mix really helps. The Brock, Big E stuff really helps. So, yeah, I'm fine with this. The main event just wasn't very good, and again, on SmackDown, that's not out of the norm. So 78 overall for this show. Let's see what we get to before we wrap. All right, so that was SmackDown. And as you can see, my mood has changed because I knew it was going to happen, but I just wanted to see it. Trish Stratus, ruptured spleen, out for a few months. I already had to reshuffle my booking plans after Raquel got hurt basically a month ago to take away the Raquel-Bianca match at Royal Rumble. Now I've got to change some other stuff around for Trish, which you knew what it was leading to at No Way Out with the tag title match. But I also had something big in mind at WrestleMania that was in the works that we've already been building towards in a sense. So now I've got to change all that. The life of a booker, if you will. Brutal. Just brutal. I'll say that because now I've really got to shuffle some things around. So I'll figure it out, but as I always do. All right. Drew McIntyre has an opinion here. Rey Fenix is charismatic. Well, hey, you're going to be in the ring with him at No Way Out. So look at Drew. He's all on board with Rey Fenix, as he should be. Rey is our top performer in terms of in-ring performances right now. So good to know Drew's on board with Rey Fenix. Strut testing fees. SmackDown gets a 5.69, incredible rating. Oh, not again. Not again. Triple H, get out of here, man. Unbelievable. Not happy with the way I've been booked recently. Well, whatever. He's won every match in NXT. By the way, speaking of NXT, I didn't do that. I should have recorded this. I forgot to do it. But so NXT got hit with some kind of, clearly it was like a dirty tactic from another company. My guess is New Japan because they're at war with New Japan. But apparently NXT was accused of with being like a cult and worshiping an ancient goat god is the way it was phrased. So NXT probably going to take a little bit of a popularity hit for worshiping the ancient goat gods, but and being seen as a cult. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with NXT. But I mean, Triple H is the leader of this, I guess you could say. Apparently, so he's 5-0 in 2022 in NXT. He's won every match. Let's see what he is in 2021. Oh, that's right, 19-0-0. So he's 24-0 in NXT. Remember, he came out of retirement and has had a reign of terror on NXT at the moment. So he's unhappy, though, because he's not being booked right, apparently. I can't even say anything right now. All right, Trish, as we know, is injured. Brutal. Just brutal. So there you go. That was SmackDown. Positive show, but not positive when it comes to Trish. A true gem, now out injured and forcing some reshuffling of the booking. It's somewhat significant, I think, having to reshuffle this a little bit. But I'm already kind of thinking of it in my head, and I think I've got a way out of it. So we'll see. We'll see how we get there. But clearly, anything you've seen to this point building towards a tag team title match between Shayna Baszler and Sonya Deville and Trish Stratus and Lita at No Way Out, throw it out the window because that match is not going to happen. But we will figure out how we're going to navigate that one. I have an idea, but we'll figure it out. Anyways, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I appreciate you guys. A lot of great feedback so far. As you can tell, I'm putting these out a little more regularly now because I'm actually recording these sometimes in bulk, so I get a little bit, more into the storylines and such. So if these videos get longer, I'm sorry, but recording and having them fresh on my mind helps me get into the storylines a bit more. So it's really helping, even though these are kind of spread out in terms of when I publish them. But I appreciate you guys as always. And Trish, I don't know. Trish, come back, Trish, please. Get some kind of healing for the ruptured spleen. Anyways, be sure to check out everything else on the channel. A lot of other videos as well. And on the next episode of our WWE 2022 save, it will be Raw for February week 3.